Hey everybody, ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Challenge video. Last time, we took on the Red and Blue Professor Oak's challenge, and admittedly with a few stumbles and mistakes, I'm ready to take on the next challenge. I decided to take a suggestion from the comments leading me to this challenge. Tynamo is a very weak Pokemon with a 275 base stat total, with its best stat being a base of 55 attack. Not too bad, but once you take a look at the moveset, you'll realize that we really have no options. Tynamo starts with Tackle, Thunder Wave, Spark, and Charge Beam at level 1. A good moveset for early game for sure, but it doesn't get any other moves throughout the entire game. No TMs or HMs, nothing by breeding, nothing through Tutor aside from Magnet Rise, which is only in Black and White too, and completely useless anyway since Tynamo has Levitate. So, in return for no moves, we have no weaknesses. That'll definitely help in some fights, like with ground types where we have to spam Tackle. Anyway, let's get into the rules. The first rule is that I can only use Tynamo in battle. I'm allowed to catch HM slaves, but they're not allowed to be used in battle. Second rule is that I can't use any items in battle. Except for one occasion, you'll see why later in the video. And lastly, no glitches or exploits, or else it really wouldn't be a challenge. I think I can make it to the Elite Four before level 100, but the 5th gym leader, Clay, is going to be a big brick wall since he has a ground and steel type. Let's get into it. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to change Tepig into Tynamo. This gives me a resistant rival and a weak rival, like how Black and White normally work, so I figured this was fair. Bianca ended up being the one with the resistant rival this time around, but I've already got my final moveset, so I just continued to use Spark until it went down. Sharon's Oshawott was easier since it took less sparks. After receiving the Pokedex, I nicknamed Tynamo Thundaya. Kinda sounds like a Final Fantasy spell, but not a complete rip-off of them. I did some grinding on Route 1 to level 7 so that I could be on par with my first fight with N, going as well as it really can in the early game going against a Purloin, but it gave me the win nonetheless. At the end of Route 2, I had another battle with Bianca, which wasn't too different other than the fact that she also had a Lillipup. I took her out and moved on to Striaton City and fought Charon again, whose only difference was that he had a Purloin. Guess he stole it from N. I took both of his Pokemon down with Spark, and he gave me some Oranberries in return. What a guy. Afterwards, I went immediately to the gym, taking out the trainers before fighting the gym leader. And I just didn't really think about this beforehand, but because the game thinks I chose Tepig, I got to fight Cress, and his Lillipup didn't give me much trouble, and Panpour was weak to electric types, so it went down to 2 sparks, allowing me to grab the trio badge with ease. Not a bad start at all, but I think that the next gym is going to be quite the doozy, as it usually is even in casual runs. I blasted through Team Plasma and the trainers on Route 3 before another rival battle with Charon, who doesn't have any new members of his team, so I just took him down in a few sparks. After rescuing a girl's Pokemon and taking down some Plasma Grunts, I took out the rest on Route 3 and arrived in Korean City, skipping over it and taking the outside of the Pinwheel Forest by storm. I tried fighting Lenora after taking out these trainers, and I realized, yeah, there's no chance I'm taking her down for a while. So I did some grinding on Audinose until level 24, where I challenged Lenora half a dozen times, finally getting a good attempt on her. She leads with Herdier, which has Intimidate, lowering my attack stat and making Spark and Tackle much weaker. I go for Charge Beam as she hits Leer, and I miss with another, getting hit with another Leer. This really isn't good. I hit a second Charge Beam and get the special attack boost as she misses with Takedown, allowing me to KO the Herdier. I'm +3 on special attack as Watchog comes out, who uses Leer for some reason, allowing me to get a critical Charge Beam for the one-shot, and giving me the basic badge. For some reason she didn't go for Retaliate, and I didn't outspeed, so I really have nothing for why I won this fight. After taking care of Team Plasma and the Pinwheel Forest, I went down to the breathtaking Sky Arrow Bridge, and if I can take a moment, this looks amazing for the DS. And this and Black and White 2 are probably the best looking Pokemon games to date. Maybe it's my bias towards pixels rather than 3D models, but I really love this. Anyway, I arrived in Castelia City and immediately challenged the Battle Company, taking out their trainers for extra EXP and grabbing the EXP share. This won't really be useful, but it is an EXP item that we'll get later on that will be. After another bout with Team Plasma later, and it's time for Berg. He leads with Whirlipede as I go for Thunder Wave as he nails a Poison Tail. I go for a Charge Beam, which doesn't get the boost, but he's fully paralyzed, so I hit him again with no boost as I get hit with another Poison Tail. Finally, on my third Charge Beam, I get the special attack boost as I get nailed with Poison Tail again. I'm getting reasonably low on health, but he heals with a Hyper Potion as I get a critical Charge Beam with a boost, leading to him using another Hyper Potion. 2 Charge Beams later, and he goes down. Dwebble comes out and he goes down to 2 sparks, but he gets me closer to going down with a Smackdown before Leavanny comes out. I'm outsped and knocked out by Struggle Bug. I'm gonna need to grind so I can outspeed Leavanny. I got up to level 32 off of some Autonos in the forest, which didn't take all that long since there's still a decent level to get good EXP off of, leaving me to fight Berg again. After 3 more failed attempts, it's time. He leads with Whirlipede as I go for a Thunder Wave, paralyzing him for the turn. I hit a boosted Charge Beam as he's paralyzed again, leaving him in the red. I got another boost as he hit Poison Tail, and after a Hyper Potion, I knocked him out in 2 more Charge Beams. Dwebble's out next, and I take it down with a single Charge Beam, leaving just Leavanny. I Thunder Wave as he hits me with Spring Shot. I miss a Charge Beam as I get hit with another String Shot. He uses Protect, and next turn I finally get a Charge Beam as yet another String Shot comes through. I nailed another Charge Beam as he lands in the red, being paralyzed again as he heals with another Hyper Potion. I hit a Spark, and my last Charge Beam, getting the KO and the win. That was a surprisingly stressful fight, since only having 10 power points for Charge Beam really makes it hard to get those special attack boosts and sweep through an entire team. I bet you it's gonna get even worse once we start getting to teams with 4, 5, and even 6 Pokemon. After leaving, I'm saddled with another Bianca rival battle before Route 4, in which I beat her swiftly. I got onto Route 4 for another battle with Charon, and nothing really to speak of here. The fact that there's this many rival battles is a bit much, but that's what happens when there's 3 rivals in the game, if you include N. I took a pit stop in the Desert Resort to take out all the trainers over there, finally getting to Nimbasa City. There's a few areas here with trainers, so I took them out before going on a Ferris wheel with N. Look, I don't care if you're the Team Plasma King. I don't care if you want to change the world. I just want to beat this region with a dumb old Tynamo. Now get out of the way, or be blasted by my Charge Beam. I tried facing off against Elisa, but Volt Switch just kept screwing me up since I used Charge Beam and accidentally hit Substrika and boosted special attack. So I decided I need to grind a little bit to outspeed her Emolga. I didn't want to use Spark or Tackle too, since both of the Emolgas have static, meaning I'd get paralyzed and probably lose the fight. Grinding to level 40 with the Autonos in the Lost Norn Forest was just what I needed to do. She leads with her first Emolga as I nail a Tackle, immediately paralyzing me and getting hit with Pursuit. She goes for Volt Switch as I predicted with Tackle, allowing me to hit Substrika for nearly half health. She hits a Quick Attack as I go for another Tackle, but since she's allowed to use items, she uses a Hyper Potion as I hit another Tackle. She hits a Flame Charge as I use another Tackle to take Substrika down to red health, where she proceeds to use another Hyper Potion as I use Tackle. It uses Quick Attack, so I'm finally immobilized by Paralysis, leading to another turn of the same, where I go down. Just a little more luck and I should have it, and sure enough, I do. The first Emolga goes down to Spark, Substrika comes out and I hit Tackle as he hits Spark, a Quick Attack comes before another Tackle, and she uses a Hyper Potion. Luckily, I get a crit to prevent that from happening again, as I use Spark to finish off her last Emolga for the win. All I needed was not to be paralyzed. I grabbed the Bolt Badge and bolted over to Driftvale City, fighting Charon before I got very far though. Of course, there's another event with Team Plasma down on the cold storage, so I take a number of their grunts down before taking out the trainers on Route 6, since I know that Clay is going to be an absolute brick wall, and that I'm going to need to be pretty high level. Krokorok has Intimidate, Palpitoad is a strong water and ground type, and Excadrill can hardly be hit because it's immune to electric attacks, and is resistant to Tackle, meaning I need to make sure that I'm able to do at least a little bit of damage. Especially since when it has strong attacks like Slash and Rock Slide that it can nail me with, I decided the best strategy was to get confused by Swagger from Krokorok so that I'd have increased attack, but hope that I wouldn't get hit in confusion. But that's extremely unreliable. However, after getting to level 50, it actually worked quite well. Krokorok and Palpitoad became one-shots, and Excadrill turned into a 3-shot after one of those got cut off by a Hyper Potion. And with that, the Quake badge is mine, allowing me to progress. Chargestone Cave is our next destination, but Bianca impedes our progress yet again. She's not a problem, but she accompanies Professor Juniper in Chargestone Cave, giving us a useful item in the form of the Lucky Egg. The Lucky Egg is an item that boosts EXP gain, so any time that I have to do any grinding on Autonos should go even faster than it was before. And nothing in the cave really gave me any trouble. Not even yet another battle with N. What the heck? Look, I appreciate the experience, but when the battles aren't a struggle, it just feels like padding, and I don't like padding. Anyway, after getting out of the cave, I took out the trainers on Route 7 and in the Celestial Tower except for one trainer. There's something here that scares me a lot, and I'd much rather avoid it. Skyla has me ring the bell on the top of the tower, finally allowing me to go into the flying gym, where she awaits. She's actually not that hard at all, since there's nothing that resists electric types here. One shot on Swoobat, one shot on Unpheasant, and a super duper one shot on Swanna gives me the Jet Badge. I can't believe I'm only level 56 by this point. I really thought I'd need to be around level 65 or higher by Clay, so I'm on a pretty good track. After battling Charon right before Twist Mountain, I got the HM for Surf from Alder, which gave me an excuse to go back to Route 1 so that I could take out the trainers on Route 17 and 18. I may as well not waste the experience that these trainers provide, since it's either that and getting money, or knocking out Autonos boringly. After flying back, I ran through Twist Mountain and arrived in Osiris City, where I decided to just go after the gym leader. I'm in the low 60s, so I'm sure I can easily run through Brittle Ice types, and sure enough, I can. Bryson leads off with a Vanilluxe as I nailed a Spark for the one-shot. He sends out Beartic as I hit a Spark for over half and paralyzed him, leaving a Beartic to hit me with an Icicle Crash for a decent chunk. But I KO it with another Spark, leaving Cryogonal. I KO'd the Sentient Snowflake with a one-shot Spark, netting me the Icicle Badge. Not bad at all if I do say so myself. However, this is where the story takes a stranglehold on your throat and makes you go to Nakreen City and the Relic Castle so that you can fight Team Plasma again before you're allowed to move on to Opelucid City. However, I did gain quite a few levels off of it, so at least that's nice, especially when Dragon types resist my electric moves. Surprisingly, before I arrived in Opelucid, Bianca took me by surprise and actually beat me for once, leading me to have to fight her again. This time I was prepared and got through rather easily. Route 9 was a cinch as well, leaving me to finally get to Opelucid City to take on Iris. You'd be taking on Drayden in Black version, but their teams are identical other than the genders of their Pokemon. I realized that I needed to deposit my HM sleeves here because Dragon Tail was swapping out my Pokemon and rendering my Charge Beam boosts useless. So I did so and did a small bit of grinding in order to hit level 71 before taking her on again. She led with Fracture as I paralyzed her and she used Dragon Dance. I used Charge Beam before she used another one, so I got worried a little bit. I used Spark and got her down to literally 1 HP before she was fully paralyzed, so she used a Hyper Potion as I used Charge Beam and got the boost, KOing her after the second Charge Beam. Droidigan is out next and 2 Charge Beams takes her down after getting hit with the Dragon Tail. Her last Pokemon was a Haxorus, and at a whopping level 43, this thing is a threat. I nailed it with Thunder Wave after getting hit with a Dragon Tail, but Charge Beam did a massive amount and I got lucky with Haxorus being fully paralyzed, so I nailed one more Charge Beam for the knockout, the win, and the Legend Badge. She was quite a pain, but that battle was basically as good as it could reasonably go. Route 10 and Victory Road are the only barriers left before the Elite Four, but Charon decided he wanted to battle again, and since it's this last battle with him, I decided to go over it blow by blow. He leads with Unpheasant, which eats a Spark for a one-shot. Samrock comes out next and receives the same. Liepard is out next and, well, yep, bye-bye. And last out is Simisear. It receives a one-shot. See what I mean by these battles not being hard? I'm able to beat him with a Tynamo with trash moves and stats, but alas, he's just a boring old rival. The Victory Road has some high levels, but I got through it, finally emerging at the Pokemon League. I decided to go right in, may as well try my hand and see what I can do. and, oh, well, yep, that didn't go well. I need to grind for sure. I went back to Route 10 and went into the badge gate so that I could continue to grind Autonos until level 82, where I finally had a good run. Caitlyn leads with Reuniclus as I go for Charge Beam, getting hit by Psychic and lowering my special defense. I went for Spark and got a crit, one-shotting her after that. Sigilif comes out and resides to the same fate, just without a crit. Misharna comes out next, and I get a second crit, KOing it in one shot. Last up is Gothitelle, which I hit Spark, paralyzed, and immobilized her, allowing me to follow up with a third critical Spark to rub in her loss. Next up is Marshall, who leads with a throw as I hit him with a Thunder Wave. Stone Edge misses, and I use Spark to do over half as payback does a decent chunk of damage. A Charge Beam nets me the KO and a special attack boost, with Sock coming out next, so I use Tackle to alleviate it if sturdy and to not knock it into healing range. Stone Edge connects and does a decent amount of damage as I KO with a Spark. Next up is Conkelder, which receives a Spark, and doing around 3/4 of its health before missing with Hammer Arm, allowing me to follow up with Tackle for the KO. Mienshao is his last Pokemon as it goes down to a single Spark, netting me the win. After healing, third up is Grimsley, and I just cannot for the life of me beat him at this level. I tried numerous times, and every time I got to Crocodile, which ended up being his second Pokemon, Intimidate would do too much to me and even try to KO him with Tackle. So I gave up for the time being, opting to go around the region to grab all the rare candies throughout that I could, and grind up to the max level. I'm probably going to need it for N and Getsus anyway, so I also made sure that I got plenty of PP restoring items, since, oh boy, we've got a Pokemon coming up that I really don't want to deal with. I went into the fight with Chantal with all of my power points depleted except for 2 Charge Beams. Why? Because after getting through Cofagrigus, this monstrosity comes out. Golurk is a ground and ghost type. Ground to make it immune to electricity, Ghost to make it immune to normal. My only 2 attacking move types, so Struggle is my only way of pulling this off. I'm able to KO it in 2 struggles, but the rest of the fight I can't heal or use any other moves, so I'm essentially screwed, brick-walled to be KO'd. And the fact is that her AI legitimately would not send out the other 2 Pokemon before Golurk, so I had no chance of KOing them before Golurk, and making sure that I could possibly eke it out by not getting hit as much and living through the recoil damage, but it just didn't happen. So, in this sense, no, you can't beat Pokemon Black and White with a single Tynamo without items. But I made an exception and brought in my HM slaves so I could heal after taking so much recoil damage. 1 max revive and max elixir later, and I'm able to take care of the rest of the fight, KOing Chandelure and Jellicent with Spark. I know you're probably yelling in the comments that it's not legit, but that's the reason I avoided the trainer in Celestial Tower, since they had a Golett, and which would have given me the same problems. I probably would have been able to knock it out with Struggle because of how small the team was, but it's not like I was going to run through and deplete all my power points before it. Anyway, I ran through the rest of the Elite Four, including Grimsley, who didn't give me much trouble due to the massive amount of levels I gained, leaving me with only 2 more battles. After the story bit of the Plasma Castle absolutely destroying the Pokemon League, it's time to fight N for the final time. Well, after catching a big boy and a big ball. And it's forced to the front of my party, but if I switch it out, I'm forced to take a cheap shot from a legendary, which I'm not going to let happen. So I take a page out of my Dry Red's book and use Pokeballs to allow Reshiram to KO Zekrom, which luckily ended on a Hyper Beam, giving me a chance to hit it with a free Spark and Charge Beam before being nailed with a Hyper Beam. It does a bit under half, so I nailed another Spark for the KO. Klinklang is out next and eats a Spark for the KO. Vanilluxe does the same due to it being a Frail Ice type. Zoroark is next and it gets the same fate. Caracosta is a Water type, so it goes down super easily to damn it, I forgot about Sturdy. I paralyzed him though, leaving him immobilized as I did the same attack after the full restore, so I've got him locked in a cycle now, so I've just KO'd with Spark. Archeops is the last of his team, and since it's a flying type without Sturdy, it receives a one-shot for the KO and the win. Ed wasn't that bad at all. In fact, he probably was the easiest boss battle in the game so far of these final few, aside from his Reshiram, of course, which gave me a little bit of trouble. After that, though, Getsus does the whole say evil plan because that's a good idea shtick, so I fight him. He leads with a Cofagrigus, which takes down my Zekrom since I had to do the same strategy, and no window to swap my team. It nails Thundia with a Toxic, dooming me, and I take the time to deposit my HM slaves in Zekrom after whiting out, leaving me with the final fight. This takes several attempts, mostly due to the fact that Cofagrigus can easily poison me with Toxic, and since I've been using the Magnet, a held item that increases the power of Electric-type moves for most of the game since I've gotten it, I have to either forego it for a Pecha Berry and hope that I can KO things with my unboosted moves, which I'll just save you the time now, I can't, so I have to hope that Toxic misses. I can't use Spark to take it down either since it has the ability Mummy, taking my ability whenever I hit it with a physical move, leaving Charge Beam to be my only option, which can only two-shot after getting the boost on the first turn. So that means I have to get a 90% accurate move to get a 70% chance of a boost, have Toxic's 10% chance to misactivate, and hit it with another 90% accurate Charge Beam. A little crazy, right? Well, I went for the Magnet, and on my 15th attempt, I finally got one that worked out. 2 Charge Beams for Cofagrigus, 1 Charge Beam for Bouffalant, 2 tackles, a full restore, and 3 tackles later for Seismitoad, a Charge Beam for Hydreigon, surprisingly, 1 for Bisharp, and 2 for Electros won me the fight. That was extremely stressful. I mean, I didn't have any reliable way to dish out the pain and keep myself healthy, so I had to rely on luck. However, with that, we've stopped Team Plasma's plan, and officially beat Pokemon White with only a single Tynamo in battle. Well, normally I'd end the video here, but we've got one more battle that I'd like to at least try. I rushed over to Undella Town and faced off against Cynthia for the heck of it. I knew I couldn't win because of Garchomp, and heck, even Spiritomb walled me really hard, since it has Double Team, and it went for it over and over again. I managed to take it down once, but Garchomp just came right out and destroyed me with a Dragon Rush. I can't level any higher, and I have no other moves to attempt, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I'd try the second round of the Elite Four as well, but Lord knows I've already suffered through enough Golurk. In conclusion, this run wasn't all that fun actually, since it didn't involve much strategy. Most of it was either sweep after getting a bunch of buffs out of Charge Beam, or hope for the best with a mix of Thunder Wave, Spark, and Tackle to take advantage of my higher base attack. And with ground types, just hope to God Tackle could take it out. But I'm still surprised that I was even able to get this far, aside from Golurk. In fact, leave a comment if any of you try this, and get an attempt where Chantal doesn't send out Golurk until the end. If that happens, maybe it would be possible to wipe her out without items. Anyway, next week's challenge, we're going straight back into this set of games, except with Black version. That's right, we're doing the Professor Oak's challenge for Pokemon Black and White. As always, if you like this video, make sure to click that like button and it really helps out the channel. Subscribing and ringing the bell gives you the best chance of seeing the videos as soon as they come out. And lastly, follow me on Twitter where you can get updates on my videos as they're being made, as well as dumb jokes, especially things about professional wrestling. I don't know why I like professional wrestling, I just do. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great rest of your day.